Do those who are served grow as people? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
We'll get started right after this message. If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at Amazon.com or visit Matthew's website, www.matthewphoffman.com. Again, that's Amazon.com or www.matthewphoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
Are you tired of feeling like your partner just doesn't get it? Do you feel like you're speaking a different language when it comes to emotions and needs? It can be frustrating and even hurtful when we don't feel heard or seen by our spouse. But what if there was a way to develop empathy and understanding in your marriage? Kim and I have some valuable insights to share on how you can enhance your relationship with your partner by fostering a deeper understanding and cultivating empathy rooted in love and mutual respect. Join us as we reveal some practical tips that you can implement in your daily life to strengthen the bond with your spouse and become a better servant leader. Marriage can be a roller coaster ride full of ups and downs. One moment you're on top of the world, and next you're arguing over who left the toilet seat up again. No matter what hurdles life throws your way, the secret to a rocking marriage is all about feeling the love and showing the love. Get ready to soak up some serious wisdom on how to tune into your partner's emotions and needs and show up for them in ways that will allow them and you to crush your marriage game. How can you become a better servant leader in your number one relationship?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Kickass Couples Podcast. We are bringing to you live today this special episode on our pillar number 10, servant leadership. What exactly is servant leadership? And that is a service that is a greater cause than one's own self. So that's the essence of servant leadership. And there is a quote by Robert Greenleaf that says, "The servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. That person is sharply different from one who is leader first." And so I want to talk a little bit, Matthew, about servant leadership and what are some of the qualities of servant leadership. And then maybe we can talk about who some examples
Oh, we can do that. I know. I think it's important to understand. It's a great discussion. This is one of our 14 pillars. Kim, you said that already. Number 10, there are 14 different qualities that we think have to be present in a relationship. And servant leadership, I think, is one that is so misunderstood. And I want to kind of give a general definition so everybody knows where we're coming from. As a servant leader, my first duty is to make sure that other people's highest priority needs are being addressed. So that's why we have it here, because you need to make sure in your number one relationship, in your marriage and your life commitment, that you are meeting other people's needs, their highest priority needs, first. That's what a servant leader does. And I think, service first, leader second. It's not about me telling people what they have to do or saying, follow me because I'm the one who knows it all, but it's providing the service first. I think that's really away from self, right, Kim? I mean, I think.
Oh, for sure. I think a servant leader has no ego. It doesn't have a quid pro quo thought that it is somebody who wants to serve other people and doesn't need any recognition for it. They just do it because they love it.
It's because of who they
It's
are and
exactly right.
not because of what they get
It's innate.
or what they want to have. And I think some famous servant leaders, let's take turns. We'll kind of share some of these names. Martin Luther King Jr. was an incredible servant leader. I mean, he kind of dedicated his life to it. What are some others that come to mind when you think about?
Well, definitely Mother Teresa, right? We always hear and learn a lot about her and how selfless she was and all the tremendous things that she did. And she just did them because it's who she was. And it was just important to her to serve others.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela, somebody else that you can
Absolutely.
might think of, right? Who else? Mahatma Gandhi. I mean,
Yeah.
but those are all like heavy hitters and people who this is like what their life was about. So, Kim, do you have to be a saint to be a good servant leader?
No, I think that some of our just everyday friends and people that we know, family members, are amazing servant leaders. And it's just because, again, that's who they are, it's what they choose to be.
Yeah, I think that you and I, in our relationship, we strive to do that and be that. We've been blessed in so many ways in our life. And I think that we both love giving of our abundance to friends and also, but individually as well, whether it's knowledge or support or prayer or, it could be finances, it might be time, is that we are always looking for ways to give, not just outwardly, but also inwardly to each other. So when you think about kind of, Kim, what are the principles that make up servant leadership? Like what's a concept that if somebody is good at it means it'll help them be a better servant
Wow,
leader?
I think one of the things is just listening to people,
Oh yeah.
just lending that listening ear, but not in a try to fix it sort of way or, let me tell you, it is more of an active listening skill that people who really care and want to serve others do. They just sit and listen and maybe shake their head and acknowledge or maybe even repeat back. So I understand you saying XYZ.
Right.
And so that's the really one of the greatest skills, I think, of a servant leader.
I would agree. I think another one is building community. And that could be between your spouse, with your partner, right? In your family. Do you have a
Mm.
great sense of community? Meaning it's we. We talk about things, we do things. We're doing things that are good for the community, not necessarily good for self. Like Kim and we live in a new community in Greenville, South Carolina. We've been there for 2 years and we really wanted to get to know our neighbors a little better. And so we got a couple other families that wanted to help us do this, and we had a low country boil. And the gift was given from these 5, 6, 7 families in the neighborhood to about 80 or 90 people. I'm a former restaurateur. It's a sickness that's dormant right now. And I love to do that kind of stuff. But we had so much fun, everybody involved, by doing something that helped build community together. So a servant leader in the family, in the relationship, helps create those opportunities to build community. Are you tired of feeling like you're living with a roommate instead of a lover? Do you miss the days when you were completely into each other, intellectually, emotionally, and physically? The truth is, many couples are struggling behind closed doors. Putting on a brave face for the rest of the world is exhausting. If you want to get back your joy, return to thriving, and take pleasure in your marriage, then Kickass Couples Coaching and Matthew P. Hoffman are here to help. Join us alone or with your partner and start taking steps towards overcoming the pain-filled obstacles and improving your relationship right now. For a limited time, we're offering a free relationship assessment call. Go to MatthewPHoffman.com/coaching to book your free call now, so you can start making real changes in your most important relationship today.
Yeah, and I think we can also add the growth of our family too, the commitment of helping family members or people in general to grow. And
Yeah.
so, we both are really big on serving other people,
Yeah.
right? And so how do we do that? It might be, we suggest a podcast that they listen to, or it might be helping them through, a difficult time. And so I feel like we're really open-minded about helping other people to grow
You're looking, and
individually.
one thing that Kim does really well in our relationship is she sees people who, maybe there's a new baby, maybe there was a death in the family, maybe somebody is struggling with loss or a physical, personal, or medical condition, and she'll say, I want to take a meal to these people because I think they're having a hard time, and we'll do that. Or, you know what, maybe we can cut their yard, or maybe we can run the kids around, or take the kids for the night, right? So it's looking for those
Mhm.
opportunities, which is, you're committing to their growth, you're being a good steward, but having foresight, Kim, and seeing a need before it happens and then working to meet it, just so that person feels loved and supported. Any other
Yeah.
principles that you think are important
I
that
think stewardship, and that is, if you can and are able to help an organization or someone financially, we are called to do that. But I also believe that it can be your time, giving of your time, and it
Mhm.
could be to, your children's school. It could be to your church. It could be for a nonprofit that you believe in and want to support. So I feel like stewardship plays a big role in servant leadership.
Yeah, and to apply that concept to the relationship, being a good steward with your partner means you are looking at something that's important to them, something they want to achieve, and
Hmm.
you're being a good steward of their achievement by supporting and encouraging and being additive to the resources they need to achieve that.
That's right. You're not tearing them down.
You're not tearing them down,
You're
you're
not
building
saying,
them
why
up.
are you doing that? Well, I
Why is
don't
that?
understand why
Yeah.
you're, giving that much attention. And you're recognizing that that's something that's important to your spouse. And so you're supporting them in their desire to help or do something for someone
And
else.
you're not shoulding on them. You should. Telling somebody what they should do, and trying to make them aware of that is not it. I think, Kim, servant leadership, I love this definition. It's a virtuous cycle of service, meaning
Mm,
it comes around.
yes.
You're part of it, I'm part of it, and we are continually working and learning how we can have that cycle repeat itself from serving. And I love that because it's not one and done. It's not, I did this, you do this. It means you're working together to serve each other, to serve others, and it's a cycle that's got a lot of virtue in it, and it keeps going on.
Yeah. And how do we do that in our own relationship? What does that cycle look like for you? Because I know what it feels like for me, but I want to hear from you. What are some ways that that cycle shows up in our relationship?
I mean, one of the ways that you had a wonderful time to shine in our relationship. You do it a lot, but I mean, this was a long term, not like a one. Kim was a president of the parents club in our kids' school, 1,250 kids, and it's a year long commitment, right? The year before you do it, you're the incoming, meaning you're learning. Then you do it for another year, and then the third year you're outgoing. So it's like it ramps up. It's really hot and intense, and then the third year, even though you were most recent, you're still a resource, and you're serving and you're doing. And I actively said, how can I support her?
Mhm.
And it means more work at home. It means taking up a little bit of the domestic slack because she's not going to be around as much, helping more with the kids, maybe cooking a little bit more, right? I knew this was going to be a big commitment, and I didn't begrudge it or complain. I mean, sometimes I was a little more lonely maybe than I wanted to be. And I would let her, I go, hey, I need a little time here, babe, but it was my joy to see her strive and grow and serve in such a beautiful way because she was so stinking good at it. In fact, the headmaster of the school even said, you are going to be a hard act to follow because you've set the bar so high. And so I think, that was a big example
Yeah.
of servant leader, but a little ones would be, maybe you weren't feeling well, maybe you were tired or overwhelmed, and I turn your alarm off and let you sleep so you're not getting up and having to get the kids going, and you got a little time to sleep in. It's just, it's that's kind of that looking and thinking about what's coming and how can I be of service. And it shows up, and it's not always an act of service. It might be supporting you spiritually and prayerfully when
Yes,
you're
that's
going
a
through a tough
big
time.
one.
And then maybe if I get inspiration, sharing something like, hey, here's a piece of scripture I
Yeah,
found.
you're
So
so good at that. I would say that you are the best when it comes to taking that leadership role in spirituality of just knowing when I'm down and sending me something that's going to lift me up. And it could be something from the Bible. It could be a quote that you saw. It could be a
sure.
song. You do it with songs and you lift me up and
I
support me
share a
with
lot of songs.
songs
I'm a
all the
musical
time.
person. Yeah.
And so you're just so aware. You're always aware. And I think a servant leader is somebody that is aware of what is happening around them always, with family, with friends, with their spouse. They just recognize what is going on and what people's needs may be in that moment. And you're fantastic
So
at
I'm
that.
thank you. I appreciate your recognition of that. That makes me smile. So I'm gonna turn the tables on you and say, what do you do in our relationship? What are the ways that you see yourself fulfilling that role with us? So for some of the women out there can hear some of your thoughts on that.
Well, I think some of the bigger things have been in that you wrote a book and you ramped up for a big speaking tour and a book tour. And because we have a younger child at home still, I wasn't able to do a lot of that with you. And so supporting you leading up to that with helping with the invites and helping plan a big party and celebration after the tour. And then obviously holding down the home front while you were away. And
Right.
just doing that with such love in my heart and appreciation for you and excitement for you. I even sent little gifts along the way. And
She did.
it could have been the opposite though. I could have looked at it and there might have been a time in our relationship when I would have done that "Ugh, this is a burden. You know, you've left me at home. I have to hold down the home front. We're in a new rental space. We have, dogs and kids and just I could have looked at that in a very different light, but I chose to revel in it with you instead. And so that's one of the things that comes to mind because there was joy in my heart for us, for you, for everything that was going on. And I think that it made for an exciting time for both of us.
Yeah, it was, and she was a great support. I mean, I was on the road in our Airstream trailer giving talks at Rotary clubs and promoting my book in Florida, and there were gifts. And she said, "Okay, open this one gift now." And there was a letter and a note that came with it, and a really cool, thoughtful gift to go along with it, and just so supportive. And it was, I came home the one weekend I came home. I was gone for 2 weeks on this book tour. I came home, and her parents were in town with us in our rental house, which was not the most exciting place to be while we were transitioning in our move. And I got sick that weekend. I got food poisoning. So the weekend I came home to be with her and help out, I was sick the whole weekend. And I turned around and left. And she was like, "That's kind of a bummer. Not how I envisioned it." But you know
It
what?
was what it
It was what it
was.
was, and she let me go, and I got better just as it was time to leave. And but yeah, it was a great example of that dance. Are you struggling to maintain the emotional and physical intimacy you once shared? Do you feel like you're spending more energy finding fault and tearing your partner down instead of magnifying their good and building them up? Don't worry, you're not alone. Many couples are struggling behind a forced smile and an inauthentic happiness. You feel drained, unheard, and more often than not, unappreciated. The good news is it's not too late to rekindle the flame and strengthen your bond. I'm offering a free relationship assessment call to help you take the first step towards revitalizing your relationship and reaching your own relationship nirvana. Whether you come alone or with your partner, I'm here to help you create the space for a more fulfilling and satisfying relationship. Don't wait any longer. Make the changes you need to thrive. Book your free call today at matthewphoffman.com/coaching. And let's get started on your journey to a kick-ass relationship. Kim, a lot of people struggle with assigning the proper meaning to the word servant, of servant
Yeah,
leadership.
I feel like there's such misconception around the word servant leadership and that people really get hung up on that word when in fact that's not what it is at all. People say sometimes it has to do with bondage or that we're in service And when I talk service, we're talking about forced
Yeah,
service,
being made to do
being made to
something.
do something for someone else. And it really isn't that at all. It's very misunderstood. And I feel like, it begins with the natural choice of feeling that you want to serve. It's how
Right.
you feel, not what you are made or forced to do.
Yeah, I think that's great. And clearing it up, one of the things that I adopted this a long time ago and I get teased about it, but I say when I do something for somebody, whether it's my wife or a friend, opening the door for somebody, they go, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." I respond with my pleasure. Because if our words are very strong, and when we say those words, we have to think about them and we have to feel them. And so it is indeed my pleasure to serve my wife any way that I can, or a stranger or a friend. And I enjoy putting myself second and recognizing the value of others. And I would encourage you all to think about your framing of service and being a servant leader. It's not about being a doormat, it's not about getting walked on. It's about choosing to have an attitude of service to everybody you encounter, especially your
Yeah.
partner, so
And
they feel it.
I would even take that a step further and say, know and understand your partner's love languages and serve those languages well.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you showing up for them in a way that they
Yes.
want, not the way you want
Be
to show up for them?
intentional about serving those
No
love
doubt.
languages because it will come back to you tenfold. And I'm not saying we're looking at a quid pro quo relationship. We're just saying
No.
that when you serve someone and you speak to their love language, they are just organically and naturally going to want to do that for you as well.
And I want to clear up another misconception, Kim. When the concept of wants and needs, being a servant leader does not mean you're fulfilling all the wants of your partner, right? That's like, I want you to get me a cold drink. I want you to clean the house. I want you to take this on. I want, right? Are the needs being fulfilled? Because if your partner's fulfilling your needs, they're doing a pretty darn good job because they're making sure that you're successful, you're loved, you're supported, you're heard, you're understood. It is not about serving in the sense of I've got to take care of all their wants. Think about young children. They're in the store. I want this. I want that. I want to buy.
Yes, we
I
can do
want.
that same thing in our
You,
relationships without realizing
no
it.
doubt. And I mean, if it's the wants that have to be
Right.
fulfilled, it is never going to happen. So let's
Right.
be real clear about making sure that we're not confused about fulfilling wants and needs. That it's really the needs first. It doesn't mean you're not going to give your partner,
What they
hey, I
want.
really want to go have
Yes.
pizza tonight.
Yeah.
Great, let's go have pizza. I don't care where we go. That's okay. But if you'll have a never-ending task if you're trying to fulfill all the wants of your partner, and you shouldn't try. It's not what we're saying. It's not what servant leadership is really all about. And I think, Kim, the best test of servant leadership, like, am I being successful? This was, if here's the litmus test. If you're being a good servant leader, do those who are served grow as persons, as people? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? If you can
Yeah.
answer yes to those questions, then that is a great test that you are being a good servant leader.
Yeah. Don't be concerned for your own good so much as being concerned for the good of others.
That is truth. And that's a great biblical piece of scripture from First Corinthians, right? And
Hmm.
are you looking out for others or for your own good first? And I think that meets the test, and that's a great way to kind of sum up this pillar. It's a deep topic, and it's there for a reason in relationships, and we want people to know it's important
It
and that you
is.
have to be intentional about it. If you're not intentional about it, it is not going to come to the front when you do it. Yeah. Be faithful with the little and the small, and then you'll be prepared for the big stuff and celebrate your success. When you see your partner doing a great job of it, recognize it, express gratitude for it, and call them out for goodness and celebrate it. We don't celebrate enough, I think, in our relationships, all the good stuff that goes on. And servant leadership is so important, but it can also be a fun journey. It's not oppressive, it's not difficult, but really when you are prioritizing your spouse, it's natural to want to serve their highest and most important.
I would agree.
Thanks.
I love this pillar. I think it's an important one. And I'm glad we got to kind of break it down a little bit today to help everybody understand the significant role that it plays in a relationship. And so thanks for listening in with us. We are grateful to have you here with us today.
I just want you to remember one thing, that happily ever after does not happen. It's on purpose. So be intentional and get out there and being a good servant leader.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's newly released book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, all you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away. Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.